It's rap.
Yeah.
Can I put it like that?
With a C.
I thought it was rap.
It was rap.
So is Prince Igor. I think that's brother with the Norwegian lady in it. That's
Yes.
rap.
No,
too.
we don't like that. So what are you up to today?
Celebrate hard men.
Hard men?
Hard men. Because
Really?
they're great. Men admire hard men. Women like hard men. I'm not a hard man, and I wish I was, and that's the truth. And that goes for all men. We
You want
wish
to
we
be...
were hard.
You're a caring 90s kind of creature.
Yeah, but I wish I was hard. That doesn't get you anywhere if you're at a football match.
No, it does. You'd be fine. You don't want to be a hard man.
I want groups of boys on the pavement to move out of my way as I walk through them, like Scott Chisholm can.
Well, big bloke. Well, the thing about being hard is it's just that look in the eye. I mean, he doesn't have to do anything.
No, it helps
But
to
you
be
know,
19 stone.
It does. It helps to be like the size of a mountain.
Yeah.
It's a small hill, as he is. Well, I shall look forward to that, Tommy.
Cheerio.
Thank you very much indeed.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Nothing. Morning. I don't know if you've heard the trail, but it's a fact. And I think all men should put their hands up and agree with me on this one. Well, most men. Because you see, 1% of us is and 99% of us aren't. All of us admire, that's men, and all women, I believe, also admire that 1% who are hard. Hard men. I wish I was hard. I do. I really do. Don't you, sir? Free call 0500 10 53 89. You don't just admire hard men, do you, madam? You actually lust after them. We know, we can take it. There's only 1% of men are hard. We men and women know exactly what a hard man is and looks like. And we admire them, don't we? Some of us lust after them. I envy them, and I think a lot of men do. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Take lunch, for example. My mate Scott Chisholm, who is hard, had what sounds like a 5-course meal. And this is for a bite of lunch. And he washed it down with 2 pints of milk. 3 of the 5 main courses that I counted contained chili. But it's not a problem, because he's Scott Chisholm and he's hard, all right? You know, stab him and you get testosterone, I would imagine, squirting out. Me, I had a salmon sandwich and a bag of crisps. You know, I just wish I was hard. Sir, help me with this one. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Men admire hard men. Men gravitate around hard men. It's entirely Freudian. When you're a small boy, no matter how soft your dad is, he seems hard to you. We always are in thrall of hard men. They remind us of our dads. Men who shave 3 times a day. Who's the hardest? Who's the hardest man? Who is the hardest man you know or you know of? Free call 0500 10 53 89. And this is a great one. I've been asking people this around Talk Radio. Got some great stories. What's the hardest thing you've ever seen? I had to rephrase it for one of our secretaries who took it the wrong way. What's the hardest thing you've ever seen anybody do? And I don't mean, you know, free-fall parachuting or climbing the south face of the Matterhorn. I mean the greatest act of hardness you have ever seen. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Where does it come from? Why are there hard men? Is it genetic? I think it has to be, doesn't it? They're a separate species, aren't they? I mean, do they necessarily have slightly shorter legs and larger upper bodies and thick necks? I mean, is there something vaguely Neanderthal about it? Not necessarily, surely. You get hard men in politics, don't you? I'm sure you get hard men in the accountancy profession. Do you? Free call 0500 10 53 89. It has to do with testosterone, I'm convinced of that. I sat next once to George Best. What a moment. And you could hear the man's beard growing. And the lady next to him asked him if he needed to shave because he was going on television shortly. And he said in that voice that sort of came from down in his boots, "No," I said, "I shaved already this morning." He'd shaved 2 hours before, but he was still blue and his beard was on the move. That's hard. He's a hard man. Why is he a hard man? Because George Best's the hardest man I can think of, because he could take it, you see. Now, in the world of sport, there are hard men who can dish it out. That's hard, okay, that's hard. But the hard men who take it, and George Best must have taken more than anybody else in football. 100 times every Saturday afternoon he was whacked. His body must have been black and blue, that which wasn't scarred or broken. But he carried on playing beautifully. That's hard. That's a hard man. Free call 0500 10 53 89. And if you doubt the fact that women admire no more than that lust after hard men, you only have to throw a glance over your shoulder at George Best's track record in the old would you like to come back for coffee stakes? And I think my case is proven. Free call 0500 10 53 89. But the problem that comes from the business of hard men is this. All too many men who are not hard try to act as though they are hard because, well, they feel it's the masculine thing to do. And that's what leads to confusion. See, my wife was in a queue in a fast food hamburger chain over Christmas, and 3 13-year-old boys tried to push in the queue because, you know, there's very often, it's kind of confusing which queue you're in. But these lads just swaggered up to the front and tried to get served straight away. She said something to them. Nobody else had, but my wife said, I'm sorry, but you're not going to get served in front of everybody else. You'll just have to go to the back of the queue. And a lot of women nodded in agreement. Good for her. But the man behind my wife and my 2 sons, who was standing fixed with his hands thrust in his wind cheater pockets like men who think they're hard do, gave the lads 2 free hamburger vouchers that he picked up at the pantomime and said, here you are, lads, have these on me. And this was a man trying to appear hard by somehow associating himself with this forlorn act of hardness of these 2 13, 14-year-old boys. Now, I wasn't there. My wife told me the story. Apparently, a long argument ensued between all the women in this hamburger joint and this man, who stood aloof, trying to look proud, trying to look hard, which, of course, he wasn't. I accept that men who try to appear hard probably cause more problems than any other single factor in society today, apart from crime, real crime, okay? But at the same time, there are such things as genuinely hard men, and I admire them. And you do too, sir, don't you? And you quite fancy them, don't you, too, madam, exactly. I'm intelligent, you know that. Handsome, I am. I do all right. I just wish I was hard. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Free call 0500 10 53 89 in celebration of hard men. One of my team, who is female, points out that women do fancy Woody Allen. I don't think they do. I think they say that they like the idea of laughing, probably because they hope they won't have to actually go to bed with somebody who's that funny because they'll stay up making them laugh all evening. No, men admire hard men. I wish I was hard. I mean, I sometimes wear cowboy boots in the hope that somebody will think there's something vaguely maverick about me, but, you know, the truth is, there isn't. And the same probably applies to you, doesn't it, sir? Don't you wish you were hard? Thomas calls from Buckinghamshire. Thomas, you're on Talk Radio.
Make my day, punk.
Yeah.
He's hard.
Yes, is he?
Clint Eastwood.
He's not hard.
He's
really.
the hardest of the lot.
He's not hard. Not in real life.
He is.
Hard. He's an actor, mate.
Yes, but he's actually like that in real life.
He's not.
Yes.
He isn't. He's a mayor of some 2-bit town. Hard men don't stand for local government, do they?
Well, it was a hobby to him, wasn't it?
Hard men do not stand for local government offices, do they?
He's still hard. I wouldn't mess with him.
Hard at all. He's a pussycat. Now, Lee Marvin probably is hard. You wouldn't argue with Lee Marvin.
That's just because he's got a gruff voice.
He's got a big head. Physically, big man, intimidating man. But I don't think Clint Eastwood is particularly hard.
I definitely wouldn't mess with him. I mean...
Can you do the whole quote from Magnum?
Can I?
Yeah.
No.
From you know,
I've...
See this gun, punk? Hold on. See this gun, punk? This is a Magnum 375, the most powerful handgun on Earth. Contains 7 rounds. I don't know if I've let off 6 or 7. So the question you have to ask yourself today, punk, is, do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Bravo.
No, it's all.
I love it. I know I saved most of his videos.
Have you?
Yeah.
How sad.
Do I read a letter? It's not sad.
It is. It is. It's not very hard.
Probably it's actually to
hard
some people,
men don't have a complete collection of Clint Eastwood movies.
Actually, my girlfriend says I'm sad because a couple of my mates come round and we have Clint night.
Yeah. Tell you the hardest line ever used in Hollywood. Okay? Do you know the movie? Right? Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
Robert De Niro.
Which film?
Taxi Driver.
Very good. Hey, very good. Very good. There's a letter.
I must admit, he is pretty hard, yeah.
I saw a letter in a paper over Christmas, and you won't believe this. It went like this. I really like it, this person wrote, when Hollywood celebrities die, because then we get to see all their films on TV, And I'm just hoping that Clint Eastwood dies soon, because I'm a great fan of his.
What?
Can you believe it?
Don't get the videos.
Can you believe it?
If you're a great fan, you get the videos and you can watch them over and over again.
Does your woman like hard men?
Which is going out with me.
Yes, we'll leave that one there. Thank you very much for your call, Thomas. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Matt calls from Kent. Matt, you're on Talk Radio. You can't be hard from Kent. See, they're a bit mad, aren't they, hard men, Matt?
Yeah, they are.
Cheers, Scott.
Old Scott's a bit hard, yeah, you're right.
Seriously hard.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to pay a working visit to Los Angeles with Scott, and one day at nightfall we were walking along trying to get back to a taxi rank. The night suddenly fell whoosh like that, and it was getting really dark, and we were in this really dodgy part of Venice Beach, right? And then all these people started to sort of like sharpen knives, and I could see eyes glinting out of alleyways, okay, and people sort of making woo noises as we walked past. And I was with Moz D, and what we did was, it was pathetic. We two grown-up men went and stood right underneath Scott's shoulders and walked along in the shadow like that. And every time anybody looked up and looked dangerously at us, I'd go, I'm with him.
I thought you were a hard man, Tommy.
No, that's the point I'm making. I'm not a hard man. I would like to be a hard man. One thing I know is that I'll never be a hard man.
But you survived with Michaela Strachan for all those years, didn't you?
Yes, that was I can't say what I was about to say. No, I can't. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. I just wish I was hard, that's all. I'm not a hard man, and I wish I was hard. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Let's have a word with Richard. You see, hardness has to do with being morally right as well. If you think back on the occasions when you saw somebody do something hard, they were probably also doing something right. Richard calls from Sheffield. You're on Talk Radio. Hello, Richard.
Hello, Tommy.
Hi.
Have you seen any of the UFC fights from America? Ultimate Fighting Championship?
I haven't, no.
They are hard. They are the hardest. They make Mike Tyson look like a sissy.
Wait, it's like boxing without rules, is it?
They box, they kick, elbow, knee, wrestle, try and pull your arms and legs off, twist your head off. It's entertaining, it's too.
Yeah, is it really hard, though? Isn't it is it really hard? Isn't it a bit too obvious to be hard? I mean, point one, they're doing it for money.
It takes guts to do it, I would say.
Guts is one thing. Guts and stupidity, I think, sometimes go hand in hand. In this case, they're doing it for dough, aren't they?
No, what, sorry?
They're doing it for dough.
Not much. They don't get paid as much as boxers.
No, no, this doesn't work. They get paid plenty of money, don't they, for doing this?
I don't think they get paid enough to make it worthwhile.
What are you saying? They get expenses?
Probably, yeah, but not much more than that. I don't think there's much money in it. It's more for the glory.
Yeah, you probably walked past 20 men on the streets of Sheffield this morning who are harder than those guys. But you see,
I don't know.
Yeah, but they don't make a thing of it, Richard.
Well, true. I don't think really hard people do.
Exactly. Jason, is hardness and intelligence mutually you-know-what? Free call 0500 10 53 89. And listen, sir, are you hard? Do you believe you're hard? I want to talk to you. I want to talk to a hard man. Free call 0500 10 53 89. If you believe that you're hard. Bernard calls from Manchester. You're on Talk Radio. Bernard, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy. Are you well? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Tommy. Can you hear me?
Yes?
Yeah, I'm come from near Manchester, 54 years of age.
Yes?
Worked on the clubs for many, many years, nightclubs, went proper clubs.
Yes.
Not anymore, waste of time these days. And I played rugby for many years. I have a flat nose, I've got a bald head, I look hard.
You're ugly, you're not hard? Hard men don't phone in programmes. They don't, mate.
Well, unless you want to make a point about being a pussycat where the children are concerned.
No, I'm sorry. Hard men they're too busy growing another beard or something. They don't phone in programmes. I don't believe they do, anyway.
Yeah, well, it's just a point to make that people can change.
I'm grateful for your call. Love your daughter.
No problem, Tommy.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
John calls now from Birmingham. You're on Talk Radio. John, good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy.
John.
All right.
Hi.
No, I just want to say about my pal, Joe the jeweller.
Yes?
You know, when they heat the rings up to stretch them and that?
Yeah?
Normally they use pliers. He just holds in his bare hands. He doesn't even flinch.
Is that hard, or is that just one of those party tricks?
No, I think it's hard, you can tell. You can tell by his face.
I'm trying to remember, who was the guy who carried out the Watergate burglary, J. Gordon Liddy. Apparently his party trick is to hold his finger over a lighted candle when he goes to dinner parties. His palm of his hand over the flame, so that the flame is actually spread out on the palm of his hand. And people at the dinner party have to say, okay, what's the trick? And he always says, the trick is not minding. Okay? But is that hard, or, is that just like...
No, I'd say it was hard.
Is it? Oh, is it?
I think so. The only thing that gives him away is like, he's got girly eyes. Other than that, he doesn't even flinch.
So this jeweller friend of yours has got girly eyes?
Girly eyes, but he can hold the ring and heat it up in his hand.
Could you say that to his face?
No, you're joking, aren't you? I just hope he's not listening.
I'm just asking.
Might hold me and heat me up, mightn't he?
Free call 0500 10 53 89. Gareth calls from Hertfordshire. You're on Talk Radio. Gareth. Second, there he is. Gareth. Hoi, boy.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, Gareth. Gotcha.
Two people that are hard, Tommy.
Yeah.
First one, Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon. He was hard in that.
Yeah.
And the second one, my wife. She's really hard.
What do you mean?
Well, you haven't had any women phone up yet. And I'll tell you, I went to school with a girl once.
Yes.
And she was really hard. No one would go near her because...
that's interesting. You say that, yes. There are such things as hard girls. You're right.
And she was really... Everyone was terrified of her because you got the double thing with a woman. You don't know what she's going to do you? And a man can't really do anything against a woman if you're hard.
No.
So there you are.
I've seen women standing on tables in nightclubs which are starting to sort of boil up, shouting, hit him, Fred, hit him, that sort of thing. But they're not hard women, are they? Well, they're hard on the outside. They're brittle.
Yeah, that's right. There's the quiet ones you have to watch, isn't it?
Yeah.
The quiet women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you think a hard man, if he had to give birth, do you think he'd crack and scream?
No, I think it would be much like Monty Python, where he's standing at the sink and he has the baby at the beginning of life, and it's, get that one for me, dear, will you? Get that one
for me, will you, dear?
Yeah, it'd be much like that with men, I think.
It's nice to talk to you. Thank you for your call, Gareth. Okay, free call 0500 10 53 89. If you just found Talk Radio, good afternoon. I'm Tommy Boyd, 2 till 4, Monday to Friday. We talk about stuff that people talk about. And I found myself wondering about the business of being hard. Something happened to my wife in a fast food restaurant over Christmas, and I got wondering about this thing that men have, about appearing as hard as they possibly can. And yeah, I found, when I looked at myself, I wish I was hard. And there are hard men. No more than 1% of men are hard. In fact, probably less than that. 1 in 1,000, maybe 1 in 5,000 men are hard men. But what is a hard man? It's definitely genetic. It involves testosterone. They've got a blue beard line all the time. They're extra male somehow. But the question is this, you see, if they were giving birth, would it crack? Would the veneer crack? Would they be, as demonstrative as everybody else who has to give birth? Free call 0500 10 53 89. Now, Cruncher Smith, allegedly, calls...
Hello, Boyd.
Cruncher, good afternoon.
Hello, Boyd. You wanted to meet a hard man and fly a hard man, right?
Yeah.
So it's Cruncher Smith here.
Are you a hard man, Cruncher?
Anybody gets past your receptionist is a hard man, okay? You get the point?
No, I missed it.
Try and speak up. Speak up.
Pardon?
Try and speak up.
Try and speak up.
That's right. I want to hear you.
Yeah, well, I couldn't understand you. That was the problem. Have you been hit in the mouth?
Hey, you don't talk to a hard man like that, right?
You do what you can on the phone, mate.
If I can get past your receptionist, okay?
Oh, right, my
you're not something to worry about.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
Instead of get past your receptionist, I don't normally repeat myself, wimp, okay?
Where are you from?
That's not really any of your business. You just wanted to speak to a hard man, okay?
Yeah.
A hard man's one who's not pleasant, tolerant, or understanding, or laughs at remarks about broken mouths, okay?
What?
Will you try and hang in there?
It was not very interesting, Cruncher. You're talking...
I find it interesting.
Tommy Rock.
Like you listening.
Yeah, you see, you're not hard. You haven't got the voice.
I find it interesting.
This is not a hard voice.
That's all that matters.
Look, Cruncher, this is a hard voice, okay? Down here.
Yeah, but it's only a voice.
You're okay. Oh, okay, you're hard man.
You're a voice, okay.
Oh, you're hard man.
You're not a hard man.
You try and remember that.
Hard men speak.
Now, this is not a rate of reply situation. This is a lecture, okay?
I missed the first bit of that as well, but I'll go along with it just to keep things moving. Have you been to the pub?
No, I haven't necessarily been to a pub. If I had been, it wouldn't be the same one you're in.
No, that's probably true enough, isn't it?
Now, your request was to meet a hard man.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, you're meeting one. You're excited about it.
What's the hardest thing you've ever done?
Well, boiled an egg correctly.
God. Whenever anybody comes up with a pseudonym, you know it's always going to peter out. Alan calls from Heathrow. You're on Talk Radio. Alan, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy.
Sir.
Tommy, I saw 12 hard men on Boxing Day.
Oh, yes?
And seen a few, but these were the hardest that I've seen. I'll just tell you how it came about.
Right.
The wife and I were on holiday at a resort in Minehead. I shan't say the name of the place.
Okay.
We were walking past this bar, which has been over the phone, some of the family, and the bar was a bar called the Crazy Horse, which all fell into place.
Right.
We were just walking past, and out burst about 12 to 14 Chinese.
Right.
I say they were Chinese, they could have been Japanese, but I say they were Chinese. Following those were about 40 to 50 men, boys and women chasing them, which we now know that they were Irish tinkers who were on holiday as well. The feud started outside, and I've never in my life, I've seen a few battles, but it was like a scene from the Alamo.
Yes.
But these Chinese, these 12 Chinese men stood their ground, Tommy,
yes,
in one line,
yeah,
with fighting, and they had clubs, they had bottles, these others had bottles, and they still kept coming forward, these 12 Chinese. And in the end, the other lot ran.
Yes.
With the Chinese chasing them. But I cannot get over how they stood in one line,
yes,
what they call a thin red line, and fought back and stood there.
Like Zulu, like the movie.
Yeah.
Front rank,
But
rear rank, advance.
Did you see it at Christmas?
I did.
Yeah. So you saw it with your own eyes then?
I saw it, it was like a thing from the Alamo.
Similar thing. Thanks for your call.
Thanks, Tommy.
You're all right, cheerio now.
Bye-bye.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. It's an elusive business. Pinning it down is tricky. We've done our best. It's genetic. It's to do with testosterone. To a certain extent... Oh, sorry. Scotch hasn't left some of his papers here.
Hard men don't read the Guardian.
Hard men don't read the Guardian. Hey, give me the Guardian. Give me the Guardian.
Especially media Guardian.
For years. Is it
Hard
today?
men
or otherwise?
Between 10 and 11 tomorrow.
Excellent. Now, listen.
Yes.
I just want to share this because this has become my favourite thing.
Right.
In the
Corrections and
British
clarification.
newspapers. The Guardian newspaper now publishes a little column every day in which they apologise for all the factual errors, not typographical errors, which they used to be famous for.
Yeah.
Now they apologise for all the errors of information.
Yeah.
And there's a few of them. But some of them
But hang on. The Guardian apologising for a typo?
I know.
For a typing error?
I know.
The Groniad?
I was watching Frasier last night. It's about a phone-in show. Yeah. And somebody gets somebody's name wrong. Bulldog, who's the sort of thug DJ there, gets Niles' name wrong, calls him Miles. And Niles goes, "It's Niles!" And Bulldog goes, "Like it manners!" But this is a great column because, can I just read out a couple of clarifications and corrections?
Yeah.
On December the 17th, page 5, we carried a report saying that a 6-year-old boy was only one of only seven people in Britain suffering from an incurable illness affecting circulation and brought on by the cold. His condition was identified as Raynaud's syndrome. We've been asked by the Raynaud's and Scleroderma Association to point out that Raynaud's is believed to affect several million people in the United Kingdom. Oh, that's all right then. And then this one here, which is another one. Listen. In an article about the Dreyfus affair in the Guardian weekend, January the 3rd, we said that Rumbo was among writers against Dreyfus. In fact, Rumbo died on November the 10th, 1891, and in fact was no longer alive when the affair started. And I don't know, I read it every day, I just find it...
No, it's very good. Our page one story about Laurie Lee, December the 31st, mistakenly referred to Terul, T-E-R-E-U-L, instead of Terul, T-E-R-U-E-L. In Spanish.
All together now. Like it matters. See you later. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. I don't want to be able to do all that. I just want people to believe that I might be able to. It's not actually being hard that I think men, or having to prove that they're hard, that men want to experience. It's just being taken as hard. That's most men would settle for that. That's why we dress like this, for crying out loud. Is it cultural? The Americans are descended from hard people, the pioneers. Most of them are, aren't they?
Quite possibly,
They conquered a hostile country, or at least hostile environment. Does that mean that they're probably a harder people than we are? Because it was the wimps who stayed here, you know. It was. Our parents were wimps. They stayed here.
You're probably right.
You see, so we are descended from wimps, all of us.
Well, I am, that's sure.
I am, for sure. Thanks for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Colin's next in Cardiff. You're on Talk Radio. Hello, Colin.
Hello.
Colin.
Right, Tommy.
All right, boy.
Right.
Sir.
There's no such thing as a hard man. No such thing at all.
Well, you wish.
There is no such thing as a hard man.
What you mean is you're not, and you wish other men weren't, because then there wouldn't be men who are harder than you.
There's a lot of bullies out there. There's a lot of idiots out there.
Agreed. And there's some hard men, too.
How many times have you gone out for a drink and somebody in the corner has started on somebody?
Fine, that's
for no reason.
Totally different phoning conversation. Call Radio 5 with that one, Colin. We're talking about hard men and they exist.
But there's no such thing as a hard man.
Of course there is. What about George Best?
I've got a hard voice.
How about George Best?
My hard voice?
Is he a hard man? Was George Best a hard man? He took all that. Was he a hard man?
The only hard man I've ever seen on telly, the film Long Good Friday, you seen it?
No, we're not talking about acting,
Bob
Colin.
Hoskins? Yeah,
Colin, he's acting.
Yeah, all right.
Somebody else wrote those words. Somebody else wrote the words and said, stand there, Bob, and say them.
Yeah, fair enough. But
Yes.
the bloke he's portraying, all right, is a hard man. Razors was the hard man.
Yeah.
No?
No.
There's a lot of nutters in the world. There's a lot of people out
Yeah, we
there.
know all that. Again, I'll refer you to another radio station because we're not talking about them. We're talking about hard men and they exist.
There's no such thing as a hard man.
We've just
If you
established
stand
that there
up to
is.
them, they're going to fall like a pack of cards.
George Best? I've said it before, I've said it again. Is George Best a hard man?
No.
Why not?
Because he isn't.
Oh, whoa! I'm gone now. There's the argument I've been
blown
looking
you
for
away now,
the
haven't I?
whole of my life. I'm wrong because I am. Bye-bye, Colin.
All right, cheers.
You wimp.
Nice one.
Aren't you? Hey?
What?
You're a wimp.
Oh, come on.
Aren't
There's
you?
no hard men out there.
You
How many
you
have
are.
you met?
Hard men?
Yeah.
5 or 6.
Well, why were they hard? Did they scare you personally?
No.
So why did you class them as hard?
You can just tell it, man.
They're going round, right, thinking they're hard because people like you won't stand up to them.
They don't think they're hard. They're just themselves.
There's no such thing.
No, well, you keep your eyes open.
The hard men are the people that stand up to these so-called bullies.
Maybe.
And that's all they are. There's a lot of bully boys
you
out there.
you can't
They need a good spanking. They need sorting out.
Yeah,
Tommy.
well, you're not going to do it because you're a wimp.
If they stood up to me, Tommy, they'd have it.
You see, you wish you were hard, don't you? You see, you're just the sort of case that we've been talking about.
I've
You
never
wish
ever
you were
walked
hard.
away from it.
No.
I've been faced with 6 or 7.
Listen to Colin, he thinks he's
6
hard.
or 7, all surrounding me.
I'll tell you who's hard.
Right?
I'll tell you
And
who's hard.
There was only one punch.
Have you ever heard of AA
Right, there
Gill?
was only one punch.
Now, I'm not
Tommy,
interested in
right?
this pathetic invention, Colin. This is complete fiction. You made it up. Now, listen to me. Have you ever heard of AA Gill?
AA Gill?
Yeah.
No.
He's hard.
Never heard of him.
Very hard.
Frank Bruno?
No, AA Gill. He writes. He doesn't like you lot, the Welsh.
All right, then, look. There's
Do you
one
wanna-
real... He's not fictional, right? There's one character that is hard.
Go on.
One character that I can name, and I can honestly hand on heart and say he's hard.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah, okay.
He's hard.
Yeah, terrible. Well, fantastic. I wouldn't have thought that by myself, but I'm grateful that you rang and made
Come
the
on,
suggestion.
Tommy, he'll take you up and chew you out.
Yeah. Could you reckon?
Yeah.
God, blimey. Well. Well, that's another one on my list then. Mike Tyson. Who
Do
would
me a
have thought
favour,
it?
right? Before you cut me off, do me a favour, because I
Yourself a favour,
must be
clear
hard
off.
living here, right? Every room I
Cardiff?
go into, I can hear your dulcet tones coming out of every room
Cardiff?
every single day of the week. So please, send my missus a photo. I've told her that you're ugly.
Drop me a line with a stamped stressed envelope and I'll think about it, Colin. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Between now and 4 o'clock, let's talk about the black economy. The black economy. Apparently there are an awful lot of people in Britain who charge, ask for cash, are paid in cash, and then don't declare it when it comes time to pay their income tax. This is the black economy. Let's talk about the black economy. It turns out that Britain is ranked number 7 in the world of black economies. This means we have moved up 2 places from the last time they drew up a register of the world's black economies. We're ranked 7th in the world. Now, come on, we can do better than this. We can win this one. Free call 0500 10 53 89. 12% of the British economy is below the waterline. It is cash. No questions asked. No tax. No VAT. Exactly. The environment of only fools and horses. And what's wrong with that? Free call 0500 10 53 89. It's our heritage. All the great British heroes for hundreds of years, paid little or no income tax. Who's the greatest British folk hero of them all? It's Robin Hood, isn't it? And he was famous for paying no income tax. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Everyone from Robin Hood to Lester Piggott and the Queen today pay no income tax if they can avoid it. Rod Stewart lives where he lives. Sean Connery lives where he lives. These men are our heroes. I'm not saying they're part of the black economy. I'm saying that they'd rather pay as little tax as they lawfully can. All you have to do is move the goalposts 1 inch to the left and you find yourself slapping the back of those men and women who charge and ask for and receive cash and then don't declare it. Free call 0500 10 53 89. One suspects that the government, if they were to come clean, would acknowledge that it helps keep the welfare state bill low. A lot of the payments appear to be low. And the only way people can make ends meet, if that's all they're receiving through the system, is to do a little bit of gardening here, a little bit of driving there, maybe a little bit of child mending. Goldfish? Can't talk about Goldfish. It's a phone-in program, news and current affairs phone-in program. Goldfish? A little bit of child minding. And that just helps them make ends meet at the end of the week. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Let's face it, there's nothing like cash. Would I take cash at the end of the week instead of a cheque that appears and doesn't even come through my accounts but gets paid directly into my bank account at the end of the month? Yes, I would, every time. You can't beat cash. With cash, you are free. Nobody knows exactly how much you've got in your back pocket. But the world and his wife and all their children from previous marriages will know exactly how much that cheque is worth as soon as it goes into the system. Free call 0500 10 53 89. There's less paperwork with the black economy, isn't there? There's less admin. The fewer receipts you have to keep because, the less number of checks that you have to write out and then square off and then tot your statement up and work it through, the better, surely. Free call 0500 10 53 89. And this is a very important point as well. I think that people who work in very dull, boring areas of employment, like sales reps, for example, let's do that, get very little by way of creative outlet, okay? Unless, of course, they deal in cash and want to opt in to the black economy, in which case they've got to be able to explain away a certain amount of income that they may or may not have earned and be paid in cash for. Explain how they managed to afford that kitchen when, at the end of the financial year, they were actually 300 quid in the red, you see. So it encourages creativity, it fosters intelligence, and it keeps the mind of people in dull, mundane jobs ticking over. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Britain is ranked 7th in the world of black economies. Come on, we can win this one. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. I'm going to talk about Goldfish because that's just puerile and this is a serious news and current affairs program. Goldfish? Now, they die bad deaths, goldfish, inevitably, always. They don't just sort of grow old and, get to have a family gathered around them and make their peace. They sort of rot. Goldfish, okay, Goldfish, free call 0500 10 53 89 is the telephone number. Oh, things have gone quiet. They were talking about goldfish if you want to, I don't mind. They were talking about goldfish on the breakfast show this morning. I worked in an aquarium for 2 years, and I'm here to tell you that goldfish are a little more intelligent than people realise. It's an urban myth that goldfish have a memory that lasts 2.6 seconds. Okay? They're a lot cleverer than that. They certainly know when you're feeding them. 7 seconds, somebody says. No. Goldfish are as bright as any other animal. But they make dreadful pets. You get them home from the fairground. You never buy them. You get them home from the fairground, and there you are, saddled with them. The children are interested in the goldfish for about 7 seconds, and then you've got to feed them and clean them, and it's nothing more disgusting than cleaning out a goldfish's tank, especially if you've got one of those filters in it that's meant to keep it clean, because you then have to squeeze out the sponge, and you know what you're squeezing out. And they have such unusual evacuation habits as well, don't they? And their bowel movements are so, let's put it, so sort of, well, loyal. Loyal. Free call 0500 1053 89. John called. Yeah, it's a mathematical thing, isn't it, really? It would be a coincidence if there were no coincidences, kind of thing.
Yeah, there is, yeah, absolutely.
Anything I don't like is when they check your cash when you go to spend a £20 note in the newsagent. The little girl will hold up your note.
Yeah,
as if she knows.
That's right.
What you went through to earn that 20 quid. The kid.
It's a little bit offensive as well, isn't it, when it happens? Our local chippy does it. And I always get slightly offended, and when she gives the money to me, I often hold the money up too.
Yeah, I do
likewise.
too. Yeah,
and just say, hey, it cuts both ways.
They get cross when you do that, though.
They
don't
do, yeah. They go,
all those notes have been checked. Yeah, I know you say that, but, I'm just...
Absolutely, yeah.
Right now, free call 0500 1053 89. To Morris, who calls from Dorset. Morris, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Tommy.
Hello.
I've never been on here before talking to you.
Is that right?
I've heard you so often, and I think you're a very understanding man.
Yes.
I feed pigeons every morning. Every morning I feed them. And I'm sure I think in the morning they know where I live. But I'm sure they're the same pigeons, because in the morning when I set up from work in my car, they're following me.
Right.
I don't know, I can't paint them. I'll get hold of them and put little rings on their legs.
Yeah.
But they seem, Tommy, to be the same pigeons.
Yeah,
Are they that intelligent?
Pigeons? I don't know. It's a mystery, isn't it, Morris?
God, I don't know. But they're pretty, aren't they? Very attractive.
They are. I noticed at the weekend that Ruud Gullit said of Mark Hughes, who plays number 10 for Chelsea, that he's going a bit grey. He said he's still got all his skills, but he's going a bit grey and he walks like a pigeon nowadays. Are you all right there? Go on, boy. Bring it up.
Anyway.
You should change to a milder brand, shouldn't you, really, Morris?
You're right, I know.
Hey?
I mean, it's Carlsberg Special. It's terrible.
You should try those lights. I gather that they're a lot...
Thanks, Tommy.
A different cough. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Let's have a word with Don, who calls from Manchester. Don, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy.
Don.
Yes, goldfish. I've got a pond in my back garden, Tommy. I've got 19 goldfish in coin. This Christmas, I bought a little Yorkshire Terrier. I ate goldfish now. She's fell in and drowned.
You got your dog drowned in the goldfish
pond? A little pup, yes. She fell in and drowned. I bought it. Dear. She was 3 months old. And she just started going out. And she must have been peeping in, and she fell in, and it must have been over in a second. How long would it take her to die? I don't know. But
it depends, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. But, I mean, I'm getting back my pond now, and I'm going to fill it in.
How buoyant do you imagine it was?
How?
The dog?
The dog. Well, I mean, how do you mean how buoyant? Well, she was full of water.
Yes, I know, but, I mean, was the dog wiry?
Well, I've got another Yorkshire Terrier, and she'd followed him out. She was only a baby. She only weighed 1.5 pounds.
Yeah.
And she followed him out. She keeps going out. I have a big garden that bank. She kept going out with him, obviously, and learning off him. And he peeps in now and again. And I was going to put a net over Tommy.
Yeah.
And I kissed myself to the end of my life now for that.
Yes.
So that's goldfish for me.
That's goldfish, Don. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry to hear your news.
Yeah, thank you, Tommy.
Not at all.
Thanks for your programme. Thanks for listening.
It's a great pleasure to help share your grief. Where are we? Oh, yes, the black economy. Extraordinary business, isn't it? But apparently more Britons than ever are asking for, demanding and getting cash for the work. And that's great, isn't it? The fact of the matter is you will have been trained by the media for years, maybe decades, into believing that people who ask for and get cash for jobs that they do are somehow stealing from the rest of us. What we like to do on this programme is just face up to who we really are. And the truth of the matter is, you'd rather get cash, wouldn't you? And be paid the way you are. Free call 0500 1053 89. Britain's ranked 17th in the world of black economies. Now, come on! We can win this thing. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
06 Tommy Boyd. Free call 0500 1053 89.
And free call 0500 1053 89. Discussing the black economy. Peter calls from West Sussex. You're on Talk Radio. Peter, good afternoon.
From East Sussex, pardon me. I discovered the other day a fish specialist.
Understood.
Yeah.
Very worrying.
You keep talking about goldfish. I thought you'd be interested.
I'm grateful, Peter. Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to talk to you. What I said was we're not going to talk about goldfish. This is a serious news and current affairs debate forum. We're discussing the black economy. I'm talking about goldfish. Phil calls from Essex. You're on Talk Radio, Phil.
Yes, hello, Tommy.
Phil.
Happy New Year, mate.
Sir, thank you, and yourself?
Well, yes, thank you. What's goldfish?
Yeah.
Is there anything more serious than goldfish?
All right, I'll run with it. Goldfish, then.
Well, goldfish don't have to pay tax, do they?
No.
So there's a point there.
Yes.
But bowel movements.
Of goldfish?
Yes.
Fair dues.
Stringy, very stringy.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
Incredible.
They go along like an AA truck that's lost the Morris 1000 it's towing home.
It's incredible.
But the rope's still there.
Before Christmas, I thought, what is my office lacking? It's lacking something with life.
Yes.
I bought a goldfish. I liked it.
And?
I bought 5 more.
And?
I liked it. I bought 2 more.
Yo!
I have 8.
Ow.
Day before Christmas.
Yes.
A policeman phones up. There's water leaking from your office. They're flapping.
Yes.
But they lived.
They lived?
They lived to tell a tale. There are now 8 of them in front of me.
Marvellous.
They're not answering back.
The tank was drained, was it?
The tank was siphoned out down this fantastic pump thing that they tell me cleans the water, but only on a good day.
So how long can a goldfish go without
at least
dying then? if it's
at
out
least
of
an hour and a
water?
half.
An hour and a half?
Well, based on my particular experimentation, yeah.
Can they really survive?
Incredible.
Because you see, I always think it's cruel. You know, that lots of vegetarians eat fish because they say it's not cruel.
Can't understand that.
But when you see them landing a load of fish from the North Sea, they come out of the sea in the net, and the net goes bleh, and hundreds and thousands of fish go flopping about the deck. And these blokes in oilskins just grab fish that are alive and go, don't they, with a knife? And then chuck them in the fridge.
Yeah, shameful.
Exactly, and they're well alive, aren't they? Just because they've been out of the water for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What can you say?
Yeah. Have any of your goldfish died yet?
No.
Because they die horrible deaths.
Yeah, they did. They die horrible deaths, and apparently, I mean, speaking to some friends of mine, and their kids have had goldfish, and they just die almost like the day after.
Oh, they can do. They sometimes... I had some ghost fish, I think they were called once, in a tank of guppies that I had.
Are they ones that didn't really exist or something?
They lasted minutes.
Oh, right. What about the world's longest living goldfish, though? Because I could be up for surely.
What have you got?
I'm talking 3 weeks here, aren't I, for 8 of them?
That's very good.
I think that's pretty good.
That's a community you've got there.
Yeah, they're going to be demanding their own tax laws.
The thing about goldfish is... they obviously haven't got around having babies yet.
This does concern me.
Well, no, I've never met anybody who's had baby goldfish.
No, and I was... Because with 8, I'm up for it, aren't I? I mean, with 8, I must have a
You
male.
must have a male and a female.
I must have.
Surely.
So, I mean, and I've got a black one as well, and an orange one.
Yeah. Now, somebody told me that it's this. The reason some fish don't reproduce in captivity is because you haven't got the right kind of rocks in your tank.
Oh, that must be it.
What happens is fish are turned on not by each other, but by a certain type of rock. And the female fish sees this rock and thinks, oh, and she lays her eggs there.
Bizarre.
And then sometime later, when the female fish is no longer in that neck of the stream, a male fish comes along and he looks at this rock and he goes, ooh.
I fancy that rock.
Ooh, that's a nice rock. And then, bingo, baby goldfish. So it could be that you need to get the right sort of rock.
I think we should throw that one open to people and let me know what rock I need.
Keep listening. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Thank you for your call. We were talking about the black economy, but goldfish fine. Trudy calls from Essex. You're on Talk Radio. Trudy.
Hiya. You were talking to a builder a little while ago who said about when he went in a shop and checked like £5 notes, £10 notes.
Yes.
The reason we check them is because we have to pay for them if they're forged.
Well, you don't mind us we don't mind you checking them, but you don't mind us checking them. No.
I mean, it was just the way like he was saying, I think it's wrong.
Yes, well, it is really, isn't it?
Well, no, because if I have to pay it, I'd rather check a note than have to pay out £20 of my wages.
Well, but you should take that up with whoever employs you rather than the customer.
2 companies have both done that to me.
But you should take it up with them if it's unfair. Because I think it is unfair, but you should take it up with the companies, not with the customers. It's so British, isn't it, that we think that customers can actually put up with anything, and being accused of possibly being a counterfeiter is maybe even libelous, isn't it?
No.
It is?
But if I took the note, why should I then have to pay for it?
Well, that's what you take up with the employer, not with the customer. When you check that note, you're suggesting that this customer could possibly be a counterfeiter.
Well, no, because I don't mind when people check my notes.
No, you don't, but people do. I do. I don't like it when I'm standing in a queue and somebody who doesn't know what they're looking for anyway holds the note up to the line. I don't like it.
You do know what you're looking for.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
You have a watermark, picture of the Queen's head.
Oh, well, we all know that. But so do counterfeiters. So they've got them on there.
Not always.
Well, they're very bad counterfeiters, aren't they? Yes.
So you see my point?
No.
Yes.
I don't.
Yes.
You should take it up with the employer. You shouldn't embarrass your customers.
Why?
Well, why don't you bite the 50 pence pieces then, like they used to in Westerns?
No, you can scratch a pound coin to see if that's false.
Well, why don't you do that then?
You do.
You don't.
You do.
Well, I wouldn't come back to wherever you sell stuff. What do you do?
I work in a garage. Petrol station.
No, it's not a good thing. It isn't a good thing, is it? When somebody's actually, trying to give you money to say, oh, hang on a second, I'll just see whether, you're a law-abiding citizen or not. You shouldn't really be doing it. It's not good for business, is it?
It is, but then you then get the people who think it's funny to say, oh, I made that about 5 minutes ago.
Well, that's not their fault. You're the one who started it.
No.
Yes, you did. When we buy petrol, we just want to buy petrol and go, right? We don't want to be accused of being a counterfeiter.
But where would you spend the counterfeit money if you knew you would be traced?
I haven't got any counterfeit money. I'm not a counterfeiter.
Well, you're probably not, but some people are.
What do you mean I'm probably not? That's libelous
you're not,
too.
You're not.
Thank you.
You're not.
Yeah.
But some people are.
Fine, but that shouldn't be my problem. That's your problem. That's your employer's problem. You're the ones who decide to set up a petrol station. We happen to have petrol in our cars. We'd rather not have the whole transaction at all.
Snap.
You pay too much for the petrol as it is.
I know you do.
Exactly. And we don't want those stupid little things that you give away every time we do. Keep them anyway, don't you?
No.
Yes, you do.
We can't.
You do.
We can't because ours is done electronically through the till.
Yeah, but you say to people, do you want your doodah diddly dongs? And we go, no, and so you keep them.
We don't.
You do.
We don't, because you can only use your car 5 times a day.
You know you do.
We don't.
You do. You sell them down the pub.
What, on an electronic card?
You know you do. Those little things that you give away.
Electronic points.
Yes. Anyway, nice to talk to you.
And you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ta. Tony's in London. You're on Talk Radio, Tony.
Hi, Tom. Black economy.
Sir.
Higher the taxes, the blacker it gets. And with this government, we should make number one.
Taxes aren't going up. That's the trouble.
I'm sorry?
Taxes aren't going up. That's the trouble.
Where have you been the last few months, Tom?
Well, here. Haven't you been listening?
Taxes have gone up, mate. What's the matter with you?
Nothing's the matter with me. It's just that you're wrong.
I'm wrong?
Yes.
So petrol's gone down, has it? It's not gone up?
It's gone down round my way. You're living in the wrong place. You're not as shrewd as you like to think.
Well,
If you shop around, you'll find a lot of places, Tony, where you can buy petrol a lot cheaper than... Well, maybe you like the person in the garage. I don't know.
So you're saying petrol tax hasn't gone up? Cigarette tax hasn't gone up? Rates aren't going up probably about 10%. Nothing's gone up, Tom, no?
Not really, no. This is the problem, you see, Tony. This is, what the argument's been all about, really. Taxes aren't going up.
They've gone up, mate.
We need them to go up more.
Well, we do, and the economy will get blacker.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Everybody will benefit.
Yes, and like I said, with this government, we will reach number one in Europe.
Well, this is what we're hoping for, Tony. So you agree with us. They're doing a good job, but we need more of it.
Absolutely, Tom.
Lovely. Thank you for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Helen. Had babies?
We haven't, unfortunately, no.
Why is
We've
this?
got rather probably all male goldfish.
No, you see, nobody's ever had baby goldfish.
Well, quite a few of the neighbours, they've all had babies. A friend up the road, she's had lots of little ones.
I don't believe them.
And her pond is, I've seen them, and her pond is only about 18 months old, but ours is a well-established pond.
I don't believe them. You're gullible.
No, I've seen them.
You don't get baby goldfish.
They get loads. They're lovely tiny little things as well. You can just
They
see
bought them and put them in the pond.
But what we do get is masses and masses of frogs every year come back, and we get tons of frog spawn. It's great.
Have you ever tasted frog spawn?
No.
Have you ever thought about trying it?
No.
We ran our way one night when we were having a brainstorming session after a few pints. We decided to market rock caviar.
Oh.
Mmm.
Revolting.
Well, I mean, caviar is only the same thing except from sturgeons, isn't it?
True. I've had sturgeon as well, but they died.
You did?
Yeah.
Right, but you'd eat caviar, but you wouldn't eat frog spawn.
Definitely not.
Because?
Just never fancied it.
No. Helen, thanks for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Jason's on the line from Portsmouth. You're on Talk Radio, Jason?
Hello.
Hello.
Well, the point I wanted to make was about the black economy, actually.
Yes.
I was basically saying to the lady I spoke to on the phone that I feel that the reason the black economy is there is because there is a place for it. People are forced into using it. It's down to really, at the end of the day, putting food on the table. Not many people understand the rules and regulations regarding tax, etc., and they see that when they work for an employer, they get ripped off with the tax. When they become self-employed, there's all sorts of taxes, pitfalls, insurance, etc., that they've got to have. And quite frankly, it's easier for the average person just to do a job, get some money, and take it to a shop and spend it, live hand to mouth, which is what I'd say a good percentage of the country do.
Yes.
And incidentally, I have a friend who works in a petrol station, and she has got more China cups than tea in China.
Exactly.
So I also think that other lady might be slightly wrong on her point as well.
Yes. Yes, I just don't like people who hold my notes up to the air. And, there's nothing new in this. None of us like it.
No.
Partly because, of course, we're always slightly scared that it could turn out to be a counterfeit note. And then what happens? Do the police get called?
I've actually had that happen to me.
Okay, tell the story.
Well, I got my money out of the post office. I went to a shop, bought some cigarettes, and I bought some sandwiches and what have you. I left the shop, and actually I got just outside the shop, and the girl came running out after me and said, I can't accept this is a forgery. And I said, well, I basically said, well, that's your tough, and just walked away.
That's your tough.
Well, it is. I mean, the first thing is she didn't do it in front of me, so she could have already had that as far as I was concerned. Secondly, I got it from a post office, so I wasn't going to accept it was a forgery. And thirdly, even if it was a forgery, I was bigger than her and a lot faster.
Yes, exactly.
And I'd got my food in my hand by then. So
this, Jason, is what we call natural justice, and there is a sound philosophical argument in favour of natural justice over, as opposed to sort of judicial justice.
What about this black economy, though? Because you sort of evaded the point slightly.
No, I didn't evade the point at all. I
just had nothing to say about what...
No, I felt there was a great deal more colour in your information about counterfeiting.
Yeah?
Quite honestly, yes.
I've got a good little operation.
Have you? What do you do?
Nothing at all.
What do you mean? What's your dodge?
What's my dodge?
Yes, what evil do you do, Jason, as the man
I'm
once
actually
said?
at college at the moment, but like most people, if somebody was to say to me, here's a few quid, do this for me...
Yes, you would.
Well, I have to. I mean, I actually go to college and I get ripped off left, right and centre. I get no help at all.
What help do you want then? How old are you? What do you mean? How old are you?
I'm actually 29 years old.
29-year-old man?
I've spent 12 years working and earning a lot of money and paying for the education that I'm now getting.
Who owes you then?
Who owes me?
Yes.
The people that I've paid over the years in the vast amount of taxes that I've paid, and this is part of the reason why the black economy exists, because you put into it, but you never get out of it. You've got the Social Security, who when you go and speak to them and you ask for advice and how you can do this and how you can improve your lifestyle, they play a little game with you. Let's see how little information we can give you. And you'll permanently run around by every government department so that they don't tell you anything that could cost them money. And at the end of the day, it's disgraceful.
Give me a minute.
You're forced into doing these things because you just don't get any backup and help from someone else.
No. That's terrible, isn't it?
It is. And you're obviously preoccupied there, so I'll let you get on with it.
No, I just damaged the studio accidentally in frustration whilst listening to you talk such utter rubbish.
Everyone that phones you talk utter rubbish.
Feeble.
That's why they're calling you.
Feeble? You phoned up for an argument, didn't you?
No, I mean...
Do you know what it's like for people, who genuinely are in need to listen to an entirely intelligent and intact 29-year-old man talk about society's debt to him?
I wasn't talking about society's debt to me.
Yes,
I was just talking about the fact that I'm trying to improve my lifestyle, and I've been doing it ever since I left school.
Yes, but you're doing that for yourself, not to make the world a better place. Don't you come
Precisely,
in?
and that's exactly what I said about the black economy. It doesn't exist because people are actually naturally evil and think, how can I con the government, or how can I con somebody out of some money? They're thinking, how can I put money in my pocket? How can I pay my electricity bill? How can I put food on the table?
How can I go down the pub 4 nights a week?
I don't drink, actually.
Don't you?
No.
You don't know what you're missing.
Well, I do.
Gorgeous.
I have drunk, and it's quite unpleasant in the morning.
Yeah? So?
So I would save my money, and I'd spend it on getting to college.
Oh, good for you.
Because no one else is going to pay it.
Well, aren't you goody two-shoes? Hey?
I am a good boy, actually.
Oh, dear.
You're enjoying talking to me, aren't you?
Sorry?
It's not me that wants the argument.
Maybe you phoned up for an argument.
You're just looking for a little way you can antagonise me.
Got any goldfish?
Actually, it's funny you should say that.
God.
I haven't got any goldfish, but I hear frog's eggs taste nice.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. This is Talk Radio. That's a good argument for listening.
To Tommy Boyd. Free call 0500 10 53 89.
One thing that annoys me, I'm sorry to interrupt, about programs like David Attenborough is that we end up knowing all about the Guatemalan spiny echidna, right, but nothing about our own humble animals in Britain. 'Cause I don't know how sparrows get by.
That's true.
Nothing about goldfish. I know not why goldfish, generally speaking, never breed. Is it because perhaps they eat their young?
I don't know. I think it possibly is because we had them for several years and we never saw anything, But, I'd like to know, where do all the dead sparrows go?
Yes. You never see a dead sparrow?
Never.
Unless it's in something's mouth?
I know.
Occasionally. Nice passing time of day with you, Christine.
Right, nice to talk to you.
Till next time. Dave's in. Jedge calls from Essex. Or would it be Jeg? You're on Talk Radio, hello.
All right, Tom, it's Jake.
Jake.
Goldfish.
Yeah.
For Christmas, I bought a couple of my mates a goldfish tank, but it's battery powered. You stick batteries in the back, and they aren't real goldfish, obviously, and you just stick them in.
Yes.
And they move around. Great idea.
Marvellous.
I was going to save it for the wonderful hour, but since you brought it up, I just thought, why not?
I'm glad you jumped the gun on that one. Nicely done. Very opportunistic of you.
Well, cheers.
Yes. How much was that then?
About a tenner.
Oh, tenner.
Hours and hours of happy fun for them, I think.
Yeah, marvellous. Really fantastic present.
Yeah, brilliant.
Wish I was your friend.
Goldfish. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Lawrence is in Buckinghamshire. You're on Talk Radio, Lawrence?
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Tommy, just before I hit the black market question, I've got a question for you and how you work, because your powers of debate regularly amaze me.
Right.
How much is done by you and how much by the team?
Well, whatever. I don't know, really.
Is it just all comes out of one pot?
Yeah. Well, I think my screen's lit up with the following legend, which I'll read to you. We write your scripts and prompt me in my ear. Go on, prompt me in my ear. Hold on.
I said we prompt you in your ear.
Yeah. Did they hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
You heard that, did you?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm at the bottom of page 149, actually.
Oh, cool.
Lawrence?
Can we do the black market?
I missed the next page over and Sister Lawrence, hang on a second. So, Lawrence, what were your comments on the black economy?
Are you familiar with the works of G. Northcote Parkinson?
Hang on a second. Tommy. No, tell me more.
Parkinson's laws, mate. Like work expands to fill the time available and stuff.
No, Tommy. Yes, I've heard of that.
Yeah, well, I've read it all. And some of it is absolutely fascinating. Now, one bit that he did on taxation was very interesting, and this is... I'll get to the subject. He always reckoned you could never tax a populace at more than 40%.
Right.
Because after that, you get more duckers and divers than the system can cope with.
Yeah.
And he cites various examples from around the world on that.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm suggesting is that what you're talking about is like a silent vote, because we are definitely the legitimate taxpayers taxed over 40% effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So you start to get the duckers and divers. Now we're getting a lot of duckers and divers to the point where we're 7th in the world.
Yes.
So this is like a huge silent vote that Thatch wanted from the very beginning, like commercial anarchy, didn't she?
I suppose so, yes. I can see where you're threading this one back to.
So now if the whole system's going to flip itself on its top...
Hang on a second. Tommy, go on.
If the whole system's going to flip itself on its top, we're just part of a painful process, aren't we? Because we're going towards commercial anarchy anyway that way.
Tommy. Lawrence, I think you make a good point, and I'm grateful.
Thank you.
But listen,
you
said, reading on the script, if 12% of our economy is undeclared, how do they know?
Well, they don't, do they?
So perhaps it's not.
Well, I think it's a lot more, personally.
I think there isn't hardly any. I think it's a way of the government softening us up to switch from cash to credit.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I hadn't thought of that.
No. Hang on. But when you think about it, Lawrence, doesn't it make sense?
Well, it does in a way. I'll give you an analogy. I lived in South Africa in the 80s for quite a while, where they did their medical system was effectively private.
Yes.
Mainly for the whites, I have to say. But the point was there were enough people paying into it to make it cheap. And it was just like having your normal deductions off your payslip that most legitimate earners get here today. National insurance.
Yeah, all I would say is it does sound as though you're reading it. Can you sort of...
I'm not reading it. I'm looking at a completely different document on my screen.
I know you're not on a script. I'm just saying, make it sound a bit more colloquial.
Do you?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Okay, and we'll fax you next week's script on Thursday.
Good stuff.
All right, and you're going to be Pete from Romford. Is that okay?
That's no problem.
Okay, thanks for your call.
No problem.
Bye. You're not Celtic as I am, you lot. You're a bunch of Southerners.
Behave yourself.
I'm not. What are you talking about, Boyd? What sort of a name do you think Boyd is? Little England?
Yes, but where were you born and where are you from?
I was born in London, but both my sets of grandparents are Glaswegian.
Oh, get out.
I will see you lot off any day of the week.
Ground control's a major song.
Nothing. Bandeliga ola boo. Nothing. What?
You really bug.
Oh dear, what happens is this. We arrive in the studio at 2 minutes to 2. And the phone lines light up with people talking absolute rubbish even before we've started. Oh, she's gone. A woman from Plymouth. I saw the lights flashing. I said, what do you want? I haven't started yet. She said the men of Ulster will never sit down. And she was away. Anyway, tell you what we want to talk about today, for a range of reasons. One of them, because I have received a letter addressed to the suggestion box here in the afternoon show, 2 until 4. I'll give you the address if you'd like to construct a suggestion as to how we could make the world a better place for our children to live in just a second. This letter comes from Carol Noakes, who lives in, listen to this, Devil's Dream Cottage. Dear Tommy, you asked the other day for suggestions to make the world a better place. As they are so uncomfortable with the way the rest of us live, I would like to propose that vegetarians could be kept in a reservation, rather like the North American Indians. The vegetarian lifestyle would, of course, lead to a scarcity of animals in the reservation, but the inmates would not need to be deprived of animals whose rights they would champion because cows and pigs could be trained to pull carts and operate treadmills to work the power stations. Swampy types could tunnel away to their heart's content, unhampered by runways and bypasses. Thank you, Carol, very much indeed for that idea. It's been with my environmental team for the last 2 weeks, and they've come up with the following original research, which is that there are considerably more vegetarians living on the eastern part of the United Kingdom and more carnivores living in the western parts of the United Kingdom. And when you think of it, that's bound to be the case because you just have more dairy farms, more sheep farming, more pig farming in the west of England, in Wales, and in the west of Scotland. So this divide is already taking place. We are already a country which is beginning to split in two. If you were to draw a line from north to south, if you were to rebuild Hadrian's Wall so that it went north-south instead of east-west, you would have on the east a nation of vegetarians, and you would have on the west of this wall a nation of carnivores. What a fantastic idea. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Then both sets of groups could live their lives unencumbered by the difficulties and criticisms of the other group, because let's face it, they're never going to see eye to eye. I can't think of two separate groups of people who are further apart in Britain today. You can think up all the isms you like, but vegetarians and carnivores are moving further and further apart. Their arguments getting deeper and stronger, more malevolent, and in some respects more meaningful as the weeks turn into months, turn into years and centuries. So let's do something about it. Or at least let's consider what would happen if what is already happening is taken to its logical conclusion. Supposing Western Britain was given over to carnivores, Eastern Britain was given over to vegetarians. Where would you want to live? And why? Would you be prepared to move if you really enjoy your pork chops or whatever, and you currently live in Clacton or in Edinburgh? Would you be prepared to move to carnivorous Britain? And likewise, if it's lentil bake for you, and there you are in Bristol, Glasgow, Liverpool, whatever, would you be prepared to make the schlep? Free call 0500 10 53 89. But hang on, because the question I really want to ask is coming up in a second. Vegetarian Britain, what would it be like? I think it would be more authoritarian than carnivorous Britain. I think it would. There'd be more rules and regulations in vegetarian Britain, wouldn't there? There'd have to be. It would be more of a police state, wouldn't it? Carnivorous Britain would be rather libertarian. People would be allowed to do what they wanted to. As an overall philosophy, it has a lot of appeal, doesn't it, being pretty much allowed to do what you want to do. But in vegetarian Britain, there would be rules and regulations. I'm not just talking about quarantine, I'm talking about what sort of pets you could keep. And the RSPCA would practically turn into a paramilitary organisation, wouldn't they, overnight? Not just with powers to stop and search, but powers to have a look round your fridge in the middle of the night. How Kafkaesque. Vegetarian Britain, I think, would be more beautiful because vegetarians, generally speaking, are slightly more attractive than carnivores. Have you noticed that? Why is that? Isn't that odd? Everyone checks their ham sandwich here at Talk. Free call 0500 10 53 89. But, vegetarian Britain would be a more volatile place to live because vegetarians are always arguing with each other about exactly what vegetarianism is. Does it include fish? Does it mean that you can eat dairy products? And then there are the fruitarians. Free call 0500 10 53 89. If the natural state of affairs, which is progressing at the moment, continues, and the east of Britain becomes a vegetarian region and the west of Britain becomes a carnivorous region, where would you want to live and why? The United Kingdom of carnivores, well, first of all, that would be a monarchy, wouldn't it? Because not even the hyper-environmental Prince Charles gives up his grouse. Okay, so the royal family would move to Bristol or to Wales or wherever. I think you'd have better restaurants in carnivorous Britain. I think they'd be better at sport, because I can't think of one prominent sports person who's vegetarian. Somehow I get the impression that there'd be more technology. They'd be racing towards the 21st century with both arms outstretched, eagerly. Carnivorous Britain, but not so vegetarian Britain, which I think always hankers for what they consider to be a quieter, happier, bygone age. But the question is this. If you had vegetarian Britain on one side and carnivorous Britain on the other side of the divide, and it came to war, well, who would start it? The vegetarians would, wouldn't they? They would start the war in order to liberate the animals they felt sorry for in carnivorous Britain. So the vegetarians would declare war, wouldn't they? But who would win it? You might argue that carnivores are naturally more aggressive, in which case you haven't been keeping pace with the news lately. Exactly. There are those who believe that and I'm amongst them, even though I'm not a full vegetarian by any means, but, you know, I have my sympathies. I'm probably like you. I was caught between the two. Vegetarians, it seems to me, are more intellectual, George Bernard Shaw, Bertrand Russell, okay, are Alan Clark, than most carnivores. Vegetarians are more resourceful. They're more aggressive. They are committed. They are leaner. They are fitter. They are invariably younger. So, oh yes, if Britain were divided in two, veggies on the right, carnivores on the left, and it came to war, the vegetarians would declare, and the vegetarians would win. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. But often the only way to test a philosophy or a political system or an economic system to the full is to allow the two chief protagonists, the two best examples of the two different schools, to fight it out. The West beat the East, didn't it? Over, you know, the politics and economy of democracy versus communism over a period of about 30 or 40 years, a war of attrition, the Cold War. But at least we know which one works best, don't we? That's all fair in love and war. But it's a serious question, isn't it? It's a serious question. If you had two sides, two nations, one nation divided into two, drawn up, vegetarians on one side, carnivores on the other, okay, and it came to blows, and it would come to blows in the end, there would be a war of some sort, wouldn't there? Some sort, begin with propaganda, probably end up with fighting in the streets, certainly would end up with fighting in the streets. Who would win? And would it be fair to say that the winner could be judged to be the representative of the best system for mankind? Free call 0500 10 53 89. Brian calls from London. You're on Talk Radio, Brian.
How do you do? I think that's a ridiculous way to place this argument. I think if you want to have a sensible discussion about meat eating and vegetarianism, then that's a discussion that you should have. But to try to pretend that there is some sort of impending war, we'll be fighting in the streets, and that half the country faces the other half, and we're going to fight about vegetarianism and meat eating. It's not a sensible way to conduct that discussion.
Well, you heard it here first.
I heard it first, and I shan't hear it again. I mean, that's just a ridiculous way to proceed.
And you've heard the load of all the old cobblers that's attached to all the other arguments 1,000 times before. So what do you want to hear that again for?
Well, I mean, it's not that I want to particularly hear that subject again. I mean, even though it has been fully aired.
So go on. If there was a war between two nations, right? Yeah. Of more or less equal resources, one vegetarian, one carnivore, who would win?
I think that the conflict is in your head. You're exercising fantasy in your head.
Well, do you not have any imagination? Do you not?
I have a very fertile imagination.
You don't.
It doesn't stretch to that sort of nonsense.
Creative powers at all?
I have got very creative powers.
Well, why can't you do this one then? I mean, where are you from?
Well, I'm ringing from Holborn.
But where are you from?
From London.
But where are you born?
I was born in Belfast.
Well, you should know a little bit about conflict then.
I know a lot about conflict.
Well, then...
But why do you see this subject in terms of conflict? Vegetarians wouldn't necessarily see it like that.
It's the biggest conflict that's taking place in mainland Britain.
I wouldn't say there's necessarily a conflict taking part of vegetarians.
Well, let me tell you something, pal, over from Belfast. This is the biggest conflict that we've got here. You've got a different conflict in Belfast. We've got vegetarianism versus the carnivores here. And that is our biggest open conflict. Take it from me, it's a fact.
The numbers of vegetarians are growing, is that not correct?
That's boring.
Oh, I see, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, then, good afternoon.
Yeah, goodbye. Clear off, honestly. See, the thing with a lot of people from Belfast is they're so proud of their own blooming conflict, they don't want anybody else to have any conflicts. That's what it boils down to. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's true. One of the biggest problems that we have is that there are too many people in Ireland who don't want Ireland to be out of the news. There, I've been kicking around for a while. I'm sure you can see the point.
Call 0500 1053 89.
See, the stock exchange wouldn't be tolerated, would it, in La République Végétarienne? The stock exchange would have to move west into the United Kingdom of Carnivores. And La République Végétarienne would constantly be having arguments about whether it was okay to let your cat chase mice, what you should do about rats, whether anybody is allowed to swat flies. It will be hard work. More fun, definitely, in the United Kingdom of Carnivores. But would it feed your soul? Free call 0500 1053 89. Inhabitants of La République de Végétarienne would probably be spending so much time arguing amongst themselves, it would be a long time before they got round to attacking the United Kingdom of Carnivores. Here's David calling from Staffordshire. Welcome to Talk Radio, David.
Sort of what's going to happen when vegetarians begin to breed?
When they begin to breed?
Yeah.
No?
Well, what's going to happen is they're going to start having flat teeth and four stomachs, and the appendix is going to come back into use, things like that.
Take a while, won't it?
Well, they'll start, the changes will start, and everyone will think of them as mutants, and they're going to be cast out of society.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're going to have to fend for themselves in woodlands and things like that.
And what about in the United Kingdom of Carnivores? Will they start howling at the moon? That'd be ridiculous. How is your howl? Let's hear a good howl at the moon. That is fantastic. In America, you can pay a lot of money to go on a weekend where you find your primitive self and you live in a kind of a teepee, naked, with a load of other executives from some advertising agency. And one of the things that you do is go out and howl at the moon at night.
Strange.
Oh, really? It felt good, didn't it?
Maybe.
Do it again, go on.
No.
Yeah, go on. I'll do it if you will.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Fantastic.
You've had more practice than me.
There's some truth in that. You're only a boy. Thanks for your call.
No problem.
Okay, interbreeding is a little bookmark put in the conversation there by David in Staffordshire. Keith calls from Exeter. You're on Talk Radio. Keith.
Good afternoon, Tommy.
Sir.
My side would win.
Your side being?
Well, my side would win because we'd solve the CJD problem as well by winning the fight, eating the other side, right? So that would solve the CJD problem because they wouldn't be infected with it. And then we could carry on eating Prince Charles and the fox hunters.
Yes.
And we'd do really well.
All right, okay. Keith in Exeter, a cannibal. Vina calls from Glasgow. You're on Talk Radio, Vina?
Hi.
Hello.
Good afternoon,
Good
Tommy.
afternoon.
How are you?
Quite well. I've got a bit of a tummy, but I think that's still to do with eating too much over Christmas.
That's true.
Since you asked.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for your call. Charlie calls from Newcastle. You're on Talk Radio, Charlie.
Oh, hi, Tommy. Just a bit ago you were talking about folks howling.
Yes.
Yeah, well, round here, west of here, north of here, there's a lot of moorland. And these blasted sheep sit in the middle of the road and ask to be run over. Well, I've found one way of getting rid of the damn things is to howl at them, just like a wolf.
Go on, then.
Well, the last wolf round here was killed off about 1775, the last wild one. I reckon the sheep have a sort of inbuilt memory of the damn things, you know.
I'm very glad you raised that, because here comes today's tidbit of information. The last wolf to be killed, the last wild wolf living in Britain to be killed, was killed on the site of what is now runway 5 at Heathrow Airport.
Oh, that's
Stanwell.
That's interesting.
It's not really, is it?
There's a friend I've got, and actually he's got another system. He shouts mint sauce at them, but it doesn't work so well.
No, they don't understand that, you see. But
Yeah,
they do
that's
understand wolves howling for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Free call 0500 1053 89. Brandon calls from Stoke-on-Trent. Welcome to Talk Radio. Brandon, hello.
Hi, Tommy. Just wanted to make the point, if we were to have a divide in the country,
Yes.
wouldn't there be war before they actually make the divide? Choosing who has what side of the country? Because obviously there's better weather on one side than there's another, yeah.
What, not east-west there isn't?
Well, there's more animals on the west.
Yeah,
With being Wales.
that's good. That doesn't affect the weather, though, does it? Unless you're coming up with some methane cow argument.
Well, no, but you got this big, what is it, Norwegian wind or whatever, bringing all the bad weather over. Obviously, it deposits on the bloody east.
Are you saying that the weather in the east of Britain is worse than the weather in the west?
Possible. Nothing definite, but it's
because it comes over from Norway. It doesn't come over from Norway.
Well, the wind carries the cold from Norway or something daft.
All our weather comes from the west. That's why the weathermen stand in front of it, so you can't see what's coming. Why should they? Why should they let you have 2 days' notice as to whether you're going to need an umbrella?
Well, fair enough. So the Western needs to be better than the West. Because most of it get deposits in the West on the way over.
Yeah. No, there wouldn't be a war first, and there wouldn't, I don't suppose, be a war.
I think there'd be a war, just people being picky.
You know what I've always found it difficult to get hold of?
Yeah.
The idea that Hitler was a vegetarian.
Really?
Did you not know?
No.
Lifelong vegetarian.
Makes sense, really, doesn't it?
But does it? It doesn't, though, does it?
Well, he was a bit twisted, so...
It doesn't fit with what we know. Quite, somehow. What were his reasons?
I don't know. Well, vegetarians obviously don't like human beings. So perhaps he just don't like human beings, he likes animals.
Okay, you know, it's worth thinking about, isn't it? Thank you for your random...
Pleasure.
Meanderings. David calls from Plymouth. You're on Talk Radio, David. Good afternoon.
Hello there, Tommy.
David.
I'm just saying in the war against vegetarians, us meat-eating people would win, actually, because we'd torch the soil.
You'd have them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, there's nothing for them to eat.
And you'd enjoy it, wouldn't you?
Of course, finish it off, get rid of them.
Let me bring Andy in London to talk to you, David, because I think he's thinking along the same lines. Andy, are you there too?
Along exactly the same lines.
Yes.
We've got more means at our disposal to win a war like that.
Yes.
Because what we could do, we would have, we'd be better equipped to send spies across enemy lines.
Yes.
Because we could send them disguised as animals. And we know they're going to get looked after. We just use the old skins that we've got no real use for apart from clothing and things like that. We can send people disguised as pigs, sheep, cows, whatever.
They couldn't move about disguised as bales of hay, could they?
Absolutely not. What they're going to do, send people covered in Brussels sprouts down our way.
Yeah.
I think we'd spot them, Tom.
Let's bring in another supporter for the United Kingdom of Carnivores. I wonder if we can bring in Roy in Bristol. Roy.
Hello there, Tommy. Happy New Year to you.
You've got Andy and David here.
The carnivores would win, hands down, wouldn't they? I mean, as soon as the vegetarians started dropping bombs, we would do a Saddam Hussein on them. We'd send them pictures of their atrocities, show them how they were supplying us with food.
Yes.
Because they'd be killing off the animals that they were protecting.
Yes.
And we'd win hands down because their government would be absolutely inundated with complaints of these poor animals that were dying.
Now listen, you blokes, you three.
Yeah.
Would you enjoy doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could also use we could use the animals as weapons if needed.
Yeah.
Or we'd just sort of rig them up with a few pounds of dynamite and just send them over the enemy lines, train them.
What a brilliant idea.
Suicide mission.
Cows weigh an awful lot.
They're awful, they're off.
Yeah.
They're planning their campaign.
I mean, they'd be making our apple sauce and all sorts of things for us, wouldn't they? Because their bombs would be mashing at the apples. We wouldn't have to bother.
Well, they'd send sprout bombs or cabbage bombs, things like that, which aren't going to be much use.
Well, we could use them in the stew, couldn't we, with the meat?
That's it. It's just free supplies in the middle of war.
Yeah.
They'd help our cause unknowingly.
Absolutely.
They've lost.
All right, boys, we've had some...
They've lost before they started.
Yeah. All right, listen. You three, okay? You're the first recruits.
All right.
All right.
Do we have to swear an oath of allegiance?
I want you to imagine that you're down there in the trenches and the other lot are on the other side.
Yeah.
Fix bayonets.
Yes.
And I want to hear a really aggressive charge. All right.
Okay.
When I call for you over the top. Ready?
All right.
All right. Roy in Bristol, Andy in London, David in Plymouth.
Yeah.
You know where the enemy are. You know who they are. You know what they've done.
Yes. Yeah.
Ready? Charge! Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Will. Peter calls from London. You're on Talk Radio, Peter.
Hello, Tommy.
Yes, sir.
My question is, what would the vegetarian opinion be if plants were genetically engineered to produce the same protein, pain, and feelings as animals?
Well, I'm lost. I've got a funny feeling you're even... No, you're more lost than I am.
Yes, probably I am.
Yes, you are.
But I mean, if they could feel, assuming they could feel pain, and they could provide the same protein as meat.
No, pain is not derived. Protein is not derived from pain.
Yes, but assuming that with genetic engineering, they were made to feel pain.
How could we do that?
Do that now?
No, you can't.
It could be done in the future.
No, it couldn't.
It could be done in the future.
It couldn't.
You have proof of that?
Yes.
You know what's going to happen in 10 or 15 years' time?
Well, within the province of this conversation, most definitely, yes. You can't create a nervous system.
But with a combination of all the genetics, I'm sure you can.
No, you can't.
You're sure of that?
Yes, I am. Sorry about that.
Happy I'm speaking to a top scientist.
Well, you don't have to be a top scientist. I read my Sheldrake. I'm perfectly aware
because they can produce actually bodies for spare parts with genetics.
Yes, but those are from creatures that have...
sort of a...
Look, the fundamental...
If say an evil scientist
yes,
decided to sort of, inflict pain on plants...
Are you really this thick?
Well, I'm thick as you are. Same as you, and as anybody else.
What's the difference between a plant and an animal?
Because everything else has been explored.
Yes. Now,
assuming that plants do feel pain already.
Or whatever. What's the difference between a plant and an animal?
Nothing at all. We're all life.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all. We're all life.
Nothing.
Sharing the same planet.
All right. What's the difference between a rock and a plant?
A rock has to be created in a certain way, and I'm not the one to say how a rock was created. You know, I can't.
I didn't ask
say
you that.
what the water content of a rock is.
God, where did you go to school?
Well, I didn't go to school. I'm not very educated. I'm very tech, like you said.
You are. What's happened
yes,
is...
I am. As you are.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
I'm extremely intelligent.
I'm extremely intelligent too.
No, you're not. You can't even... you can't even identify questions. I asked you...
How can you prove that plants have no feelings?
I can't.
Nor can I. But with genetic engineering, you can, say an evil scientist, produce a plant that could experience severe pain.
Yeah. Have you seen the latest... Is this the latest James Bond film then?
It's not the latest James Bond film. It's just genetic engineering and what's to come. I mean, anything
we have been expecting you, Peter.
Sorry?
Come on, Peter. Let's be clear about a few things. First of all, the fundamental difference between a rock and a plant is that a plant has life.
And a rock has water.
Yes, shut up and just listen, and you'll learn something,
well,
okay?
Shut up. It's yours that's carrying on.
No, just shut up and listen, and you'll learn something, all right?
I am shutting up, and you carry on.
Okay, now you're not going to say anything else, are you, stupid? Just listen and take in what you're being told, okay?
Okay, teacher. Good. You go ahead. Ex-teacher. And Blue Peter, teacher.
Still a teacher.
Blue Peter.
You're always a teacher, Peter.
I'm always a learner. I'm always open to other people's opinions.
Well, shut up then.
Okay, go ahead,
Thank you. All right. The difference between a rock and a plant is that a plant has life. The reason for that is you can kill a plant, but you can't kill a rock.
Right, kill is the word.
The difference... Shut up.
Kill is the word.
Shut up. The difference between a plant and an animal, okay, is that an animal is conscious and a plant is not. And that you can prove that by... Will you shut up? You can prove that by thinking of the fact that you cannot knock a plant unconscious, okay? All right? Now, if you want to talk about the difference between animals and human beings, that's a more contentious area, and you need to read something like A Guide to the Perplexed. But I don't believe that case was proven myself. Have you got all that?
I'll knock a plant unconscious by knocking it into boiling water, and those feelings have not been fully explored.
No, you're very stupid. That would kill it.
Probably I'm very stupid, but not stupid as you are. I mean, everyone else is.
No.
But I mean, with genetics, you can do anything.
No, you can't.
And vegetarians argue
you can't do anything with genetics.
Genetics, you can do everything. You'll be surprised. In 50 years'
I'll
time,
never be surprised.
What's happening.
I'll only be surprised if you told me something that was correct.
It is correct as far as you know it's correct, and you're an ex-teacher, and you should know that. I've been
over this
you
ground.
From Blue Peter since I was the same age.
I'm still a teacher. You're always a teacher. I've just got a bigger classroom than I used to have.
As you said before, you should be a learner.
Yes.
You're always willing to learn.
Oh, I've got a bigger...
I'm sure you know.
My learning curve, sir, has been erect since the age of 18, I can assure you.
Let me say you something, Tommy.
Yes.
Listen, scientists are always aware 50 years ahead of the information we have.
Yes.
You're only fed back of what's been fed to military,
that's really
what's been explored, and that's been given to us after
you're
used
a
to the military.
fascinating man. I bet you're good company down the pub, aren't you? I bet you know something.
I don't go to the pub.
Can I ask you whether you were ever in the SAS?
The SAS, and you're being ridiculous now.
You're correct, yes.
You're as ridiculous as I am, as everyone else. But you must be aware that the military is 50 to whatever years ahead of us, and anything that's fed down to us, it's in the past.
Yeah.
They only give it to us when it's no use to the military.
Peter, I could listen to you all day. You're really one of those nuggets of, never-endingly interesting miscellanies of information. But we've got to press on. Peter's called us from the Isle of Wight. Peter, are you awake?
Yes, I'm here, Tommy. I'm still just about there.
Just about awake, yeah. Sorry about that.
Tommy, you know the old expression, an army marches on its stomach?
Yes.
Well, I reckon the reason the Roman Empire collapsed was because some prat invented pasta.
In all probability, it's down to wheat gluten.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
They were marching across the globe on good, wholesome food.
Yes.
Next thing you know, it's spaghetti with everything.
Yes.
And the empire's collapsed around their ears.
Well, having tried to read the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, all I'll say, Pete, is that it's as plausible a theory as any of the others that are going. It really is.
Tommy, the veggies would be a pushover. It wouldn't be a worthwhile fight. Can we have a worthwhile enemy? Let's say BMW drivers.
Who would you like to fight? Which country on earth would you like to declare war on now?
Just BMW drivers. They're the scum of the earth, Tom.
Supposing Britain declared conventional war on the United States. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
I'd rather have a go at the French. Now, they really are an awful nation.
Yeah. That would be good, wouldn't it? That would be really nip and tuck, wouldn't it?
Yeah. We could actually drive all their horrible Renaults and whatnot. Oh, sorry, you've got one of those, haven't you?
Doesn't matter.
We can drive those back through the rotten old tunnel.
Why is it?
And then blow it up.
Why is it that countries formerly ruled by fascist dictators, right, always make good cars? Why is that?
Well, I suppose it's their military sort of discipline. It must be, mustn't it?
You think about it, the three most impressive car manufacturers on Earth only have one thing in common besides that fact, and that is that they formed the Axis countries in the Second World War.
Yeah, they're fascists.
Well, it's true, isn't it?
Well, we should stop supporting their economies, Tom.
Yes.
We should take all the BMW drivers, line them all up and shoot a lot of them.
Yes. What do you need a car for on the Isle of Wight?
Exactly. Do you know what, Tom? The police on the Isle of Wight are driving about in these Volvos that do 150 mile an hour, BMWs that do 130, 140 mile an hour, and there's no road on the island where they can do it.
No.
What on earth is wrong with a good old Reliant Robin?
Exactly.
That's what they should be using, supporting their own country's industry.
Pete on the Isle of Wight, thank you for your call. I think that the vegetarians owe a debt of gratitude to people who go out shooting rabbits, because if they didn't shoot the rabbits, then they wouldn't have any greens. Lisa calls from Warwickshire. You're on Talk Radio, Lisa.
Hello.
Hello.
My point is, I think the number of vegetarians is actually going down at the moment. Because if you go into a restaurant...
I think it is, actually.
I don't know. If you go into a restaurant, there's fewer and fewer choice than there used to be, say, 5 or 10 years ago. I know fewer people who are vegetarians. It's not as in the media as it used to be.
It is? Where have you been? What age are you?
I'm 22.
Have you been sleeping a lot? You're sleeping well, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. No, vegetarianism is sharply on the increase. Sharply on the increase, much to the concern of, dairy farmers and what have you everywhere. Oh, yes. Are you a veggie?
I am, yes.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh.
I find if I go out to eat anywhere, if I went out a few years ago, there'd be a lot more selection in a restaurant than there would be today.
Where do you live exactly?
In Leamington.
Leamington Spa?
Yes.
Well, you're not going to get terribly many veggie restaurants in Leamington Spa, are you?
Well, we'd expect all restaurants to have a reasonable standard of...
It's a bit crumbly, isn't it? What do I mean? Isn't it? Isn't it?
Well, where are you getting the idea from that there are lots of vegetarians, or that they're on the increase?
Well, I mean, it's all over the place. I couldn't begin to quote you all the sources, but everybody knows that vegetarianism is on the increase. That's why the farming community are so concerned. But there are more of them living in the east than in the west, and I suppose if you draw a line through Britain, well, Leamington's more or less on the border, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yes, it is. No, you're winning the war, Lisa.
I think so.
Yes. It might not feel like it. Thanks for your call. Free call 0500 1053 89.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.